house. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, though? Did you miss me? What's up, citizens of Dice World? It's been so long, such a long time, over a month, man. I can't even lie, y'all. This past month's been crazy, a lot going on personally, professionally, but that's not an excuse, man, But I'm back here, though, guys. I missed you. So much to talk about, man, so much to talk about. Before we do, just to remind you, you now listening to the Dicey World Podcast. Catch me on my social media platforms, Twitter at Dicey World, DICEYW0RLD, Instagram DICEYW0RLD.C0M. And without further ado, let's go in, y'all. So lots been going on. I mean, I don't think I spoke to you guys since like the Super Bowl was popping off. And I had this whole big spiel about the Eagles and the Chiefs and how the Eagles, they should have won. I'm not surprised. They've been the first half team the whole season. I remember games against like Washington, Minnesota. They had like 24, 21 first half points and then bottom off in the second half for like 3.7 points. And the same thing happened in the Super Bowl. You feel what I'm saying? But the biggest take I got from that Super Bowl was not on the field, but what took place off the field. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that I don't like the way the NFL is doing Eric Bieniemy. You can say what you want. You can say that he's not an X's and O's offensive coordinator. You can say he's just a player manager, ego manager. You can say he's not a good interviewer. I don't care what you say. But the last 2 or 3 Super Bowl, champion offensive coordinators and coordinators on the losing side have gotten and received NFL head coaching jobs, including this past year. I think 2 of the offensive coordinators or coordinators for the Eagles, including the offensive coordinator, caught a head coaching job, but Eric Bieniemy can't catch a job. He has to downgrade and coach a quarterback we never heard of in Washington, the Washington Commanders, taking these parallel or lateral moves, man. That's not cool. But just had to get that out of my system. What we're gonna talk about right now, that's my little outrage. We're gonna talk about Chris Rock, Draymond Green, Dillon Brooks beef, and then lastly, Ja Morant. So let's get into the Chris Rock, man. He had this recent Netflix special called Selective Outrage. I love the title off top. In my life, I've definitely used the term selective, anger and stuff like that because people do, you know. And I blame cancel culture though now for nowadays, man, for this contemporary just pushback. Everything's a problem. Everything's getting criticized by cancel culture. It needs to be counsel culture. Why can't we counsel folks, man? But I look in the comment section for other than Chris Rock about anything, man. And the most people trying to cancel people in this cancel culture are 30-year-olds behind the keyboard who never experienced life. Like, come on, man. Y'all so inundated and brainwashed by HR. Y'all like the HR generation, man. Just snitching and HRing and everything so critical and sensitive and cancel. Nah, don't cancel somebody. Counsel somebody. Because there's nothing new underneath the sun. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you criticize and judging somebody for, I'm sure you've done the same thing in your own right. People always say apples and oranges. You know what? How about this? Apples and oranges, they still fruit. You feel what I'm saying? You can still make juice out of it. You can get apple juice, you can get orange juice. You feel what I'm saying? People always, that's apples and orange. It's the same thing, man. It's the same thing. But anyway, yeah, people going off on Chris Rock, especially his rebuttal to Will Smith, get mad at him for, the line he said about I like seeing, Will Smith getting beat in the movie where I went to see Emancipation so I can see Will Smith get beat. He called Jada a B. They getting on him for the royal family and all that kind of stuff. And without giving things away, because I'm not trying to be like a spoiler and give you a spoiler alert. I'm not going to say anything, man. But the stuff that people were critical of for Chris Rock is nonsense to me, man. Like this dude is a comedian. You feel what I'm saying? Like how many times, when Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant faced some things, when Kobe Bryant was facing a rape charge, I feel like that was the month, that was the year he was averaging like 40 a game. Why? Because he had to have somewhere to go to decompress and take out all of his anger and frustrations and vent, those frustrations somewhere. And that was the basketball court. That was his sanctuary. Guess what, guys? Chris Rock is a comedian. He does comedy. And his shows, that's his sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? Like, you surprised? You came to see a magic show? What you think he was going to say? And I'm not mad at Chris Rock. Like, this is all reactive defensive behavior. This man got emasculated and smacked up in front of millions of people, for the world to watch. And, I love Will Smith. Even Chris Rock says it in the special. He loved Will Smith too. I love Will Smith. I love Chris Rock. You know, I don't condone what Will Smith did, but I understand, you know. For those of you not familiar with, living with a black woman, whether it's your mama or your wife or sister, you know how those looks are. You know what I'm saying? Are you gonna let him say that about me? You gonna let him do that? You're not trying to go home, even before you go home, you're not trying to have that long, quiet ride in the car feeling like, oh man, I might not get no food tonight. I might get beat up. I might get cut while I'm asleep. You know what I'm saying? Like when a black woman is not happy, you're not happy. People always say, no, happy wife, happy life. I'm sure that came from a black person. You know what I'm saying? Because when a black woman is not happy, it's going to be hell in your household. It's going to be hell to you. So I understand what why Will Smith did what he had to do. Did he take it overboard? Yeah. Chris Rock was an easy victim. He was an easy target. And I think even Chris Rock said, you want to pick on me because you can kick my ass. So that's not selective outrage. That's selective abuse. That's selective bullying. But I said, I get it though, man. Will Smith, I don't condone it. I wouldn't have done it. I would have hollered at Chris Rock behind, closed doors, especially these two have a history, man. But it is what it is. So now that Will Smith did what he had to do, and I understood, now let's understand why Chris Rock did what he had to do. You got to defend yourself, bro. Like when the cobra or a rattlesnake defends itself, it's going to hiss. It's going to rattle its tail. Snakes don't have arms. They're not going to box you. They're going to use the defensive mechanism they were born with. And guess what? Chris Rock's defensive mechanism is comedy. He's going to talk about what the hell happened, at least from his perspective. And I listened to the special. It wasn't all that bad, man. I'm just jumping, topics here, but just going back to when he talked about the royal family. All I heard was, him calling out the princess. Like, you surprised, what I'm saying, the royal family is racist? Like, slavery came from Mother England. They like the OGs of racism. Duh. But then again, she be having some comments, and I don't think Chris Rock mentioned this on the special, but I've heard her say some stuff like, and people just, the cancel culture was just applauding her. Oh, you're so brave and vulnerable, and I appreciate your honesty. When she said, oh, I didn't know racism existed. I didn't know and I'm paraphrasing, but she was like, I don't know what it felt like to be a black woman until I was married into the royal family. Man, it took you 30 years to realize you a black woman or to experience some black woman racism. And we supposed to feel sorry for you in the royal family? You rich? Let me get some rich racism. You feel what I'm saying? Let me get some of that nigga please, and nigga go in the other room, followed by $2 million in my bank account with a $2 million allowance. Let me get that. You feel what I'm saying? But nah, back to Chris Rock though. You know what I'm saying? He just, okay, yeah, he called Jada a bitch. You know how many times, how many brothers I know, you know what I'm saying, coming out of a divorce or talking about their baby moms. Yeah, bitch put me on the papers. I'm not bitch get on my damn nerves. I'm not condoning it, but let's not act all surprised like these kind of things aren't said, aren't discussed. You feel what I'm saying? Well, we called her a bitch. Yo, That bitch, that woman got his ass beat and smacked on national TV. You feel what I'm saying? He has a right to say that. You feel me? So, I'm not mad. Chris Rock, he didn't say anything crazy. In my opinion, I think people are too sensitive. I think Chris Rock, per usual, was witty, was political, was smart. I liked it, maybe a little too uh candid and transparent with the daughter anecdotes, but I appreciated it. I do feel like, and this is so random, Draymond Green caught a stray. I was like, what did Draymond Green do to you, Chris Rock? You feel what I'm saying? But speaking of Draymond, he was recently in the news for responding to a comment that Memphis Grizzlies forward, guard forward Dillon Brooks has said. So basically, Dillon Brooks was interviewed and asked about Draymond Green recently. And I'm paraphrasing again, forgive me. But Dillon Brooks is basically saying, I don't like Draymond Green. You put him on another team, he's regular. You would never hear about him. And what does he do? And it was basically, dissing his skill set. And it's so funny, man. I'm not the Draymond Green advocate, but I remember hearing this argument years ago I had with my homeboys. I said, listen, and I'm a Michigan Wolverine, so for me to be at the defense of a Michigan State Spartan, it's whatever, but I try to be objective. I told a couple of my homies years ago, it's like 2015, 2016, I said, man, Draymond's going to the Hall of Fame. He's got 3 rings at the time, a defensive player of the year, Olympic gold medalist. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Now, I don't think he's a great player statistically. You feel what I'm saying? But it is what it is. He affects winning. He's a winning player, And the trend for Hall of Fame voting is if you're a winner on winning teams with a couple accolades, you're going to the Hall of Fame. So I saw that trending. I got this, people dissing me, da 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 da, whatever. But now when Stephen A. Smith says it years later and other media says it, I feel like my opinion is validated. You feel what I'm saying? But one thing that the critics or the homies said years ago that turned to be true. They was like, and Dillon Brooks said this too. He said, you take Draymond Green off of Golden State and put him on another team, he's nothing. They're wrong. Because guess what? He can stay on his own team and not, have an impact. And I say that, 2 or 3 years ago, look, 2019, 2020, when KD left, went to Brooklyn, Klay Thompson was hurt, and Steph was hurt. Draymond had the whole team to himself, you know what I'm saying? And he really didn't do anything. If anything, he took a dip statistically. But anyway, though, that's neither here nor there. Draymond has the hardware. And then Dillon Brooks, said what he said. So then, man, Draymond Green got on his podcast. Love his podcast, too. If anything, Draymond is a smart dude, high basketball IQ. Intellectually on the court and off the court, he makes sense. He's logical, pragmatic, speaks very well, articulate, and usually has a lot of receipts and empirical information to back up whatever he's saying. You feel what I'm saying? So he got on his podcast. You talk about a cleanup on aisle 5. Yeesh. He cleaned up, you know what I'm saying? Dillon Brooks saying stuff like, you don't like me. Well, I'm not sure if your teammates like you. What's a rivalry? One team has to win over another. And, you talking about Memphis is a dynasty. No, the dynasty starts after you, not with you. So he cleaned them up, It sounded good. If I was a devil's advocate, I would say, well, Draymond, talking about do my teammates like me? Well, at least I'm not beating their ass or punching them. That's number one. You know what I'm saying? And then the point I made about, going to another team, you can stay on your own team and not have that same impact without your big guns, but it's all, funny to me. At the end of the day, you got to just concede or defer to Draymond when it comes to Draymond and Dillon Brooks speak, because Draymond's the OG. And like I said, he got all the awards and everything, he got the bread. So he can, he paid the cost to be the boss. But it's one of those things to me. It's like Draymond's probably ticked off because he sees Dillon Brooks not as a threat, but as the second coming of himself. And nobody likes to be compared to anybody else. Think about it, especially when you think highly of yourself. You ever been compared to somebody in class or somebody at your job? You look at him like, what? You think I look like this mofo? I look way better than him. Well, I'm way fresher than him. I'm way flyer than him. I'm way smarter than him. I think it's one of those things, man. But undeniably, they are very similar. Draymond Green is the Michael Jordan of what he does, and you can say that Dillon Brooks is the Kobe Bryant of what he does. I mean, numerically, symbolically, it's right there. Draymond wears number 23 like Michael Jordan, and Dillon Brooks wears number 24 like Kobe. So, Dillon Brooks is the Kobe Bryant to Draymond Green's Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? But speaking of Dillon Brooks and the Memphis Grizzlies, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what happened with your boy Ja Morant. Everybody's going hard at Ja Morant, and justifiably to a certain degree. I mean, and I think uh, what Ja Morant did, and we all know what he did. There's no need to rehash that, man. But it really typifies and encapsulates, this whole generation and the whole like tenet and I don't know, motivation for the generation. Like these cats nowadays, like they're self-incriminating. They self-indict themselves. You know what I'm saying? They snitch on themselves. Hey, if you going to do your dirt, do your dirt on your lonely. Do it out of the public eye. I just don't get it, man. But you know, Ja Morant, he's young. He's 23. When I was 25, I'll never forget. I celebrated my 25th anniversary, my 25th birthday in Atlanta, Georgia. It was me, my homie Jabari, and my man 50 Grand Rick. We went to Magic City. And your boy, when the clock struck 12, I got on the stage. It was dancing with the strippers. And I ain't just doing my own moves. I wasn't twerking. I was up on them like, what's up, girl? Yeah. I was touching, feeling, dancing. My, hey, chicks in the crowd was throwing money at me. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. And thank God I didn't get beat up. Thank God I didn't get thrown in jail. Security was laughing. He thought it was funny and told my ass to get off the stage, though. You feel what I'm saying? But the point was, I was 25, turning 25, 2 years older than Ja, wilding out, being dumb and drunk. You know what I'm saying? And that's broke 25-year-old me. If I can go back in time, turn 25, I'm playing for the Pistons or the Hawks. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in Magic City, and I probably got the gun, snuck up in the club. You know what I'm saying? Who's to say? And because they didn't have social media when I was 25. You feel what I'm saying? I might flash the gun too. Hey, what's up? I'm in this biatch. I'm young. I'm dangerous. I'm rich. I do what the fuck I want to. That's like the energy and the vibe. And a lot of these kids, man, these athletes, you know, it's the oldest story in the world. Athletes want to be entertainers. Entertainers want to be athletes. But as we, progress um, in this time, 2023, like the lines are getting more blurrier and blurrier. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, Ja Morant, for all intents and purposes, is the NBA's young boy. He's like an NBA young boy, Yo Gotti, and who else? Who else am I forgetting? NBA young boy, Yo Gotti, and Little Baby. Like that's the vibe I get from him. Ja Morant came to the league, used to be real humble, used to have his in arena tunnel walkthroughs. He would have NBA tech on, NBA tech suits, and Nike's on. Now he coming through, iced out grill, drippy, just frostbit on the neck, wearing designer, looking like a rapper. You feel what I'm saying? So I really feel like he thought he was a rapper, living that rap life, and he could do what he want, man. But he's got to be easy. But what I will agree with everybody, what everybody's saying is, just don't fuck up the bag, child. Don't fuck up the bag. Like you 1 year away from your $231 million contract hitting. You just signed a contract with Nike, your first Ja 1 shoes. Coincidentally or ironically, Nike left Kyrie for just posting a link, what I'm saying, to a movie or video on his Instagram and got clipped. Clipped. Like that boy Kyrie wearing recycled old Nikes and covering up the Nike patch right now. You feel what I'm saying? And Ja Morant, it's like all intents and purposes, Nike replaced you for Kyrie, and you out here acting a fool, dumbing out. And I never did get that, man. I'm sure a lot of you seen like the whole Eminem 8 Mile Lose Yourself remix with Ja Morant. And for all intents and purposes, they saying Ja Morant, he not even from the hood. He from like, you know what I'm saying, a nice neighborhood, and he comes from like a two-parent household. And I don't get that. I used to always have this theory. I said, all the NBA greats, all of the NBA greats, you look at them, they always had a two-parent household, at least their father in their life. Now LeBron's the outlier. That's why I give so much props to LeBron, because his dad wasn't in his life. But like my favorite players, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, uh Magic Johnson, and LeBron. Like Magic, Michael, Kobe, they all had their fathers in their life. You feel what I'm saying? I don't think it's not a coincidence why they're the best players of all time to me. You know what I'm saying? Especially Mike. His dad was in his life. Kobe, his dad was in his life. Like I said, LeBron was the outlier. And then furthermore, you know, I was thinking like the cats who are really from the hood in the NBA, they not acting a fool. I mentioned LeBron. LeBron comes from Ohio, Midwest, Northeast Ohio, hood. You know what I'm saying? No father figure, no nothing. He's not acting a fool. LeBron probably got the cleanest record of any like all-star legend of all time. Look at Damian Lillard, East Bay or Oakland, from the hood. He not out here wilding. Yeah, he a rap. He got rap songs, but he has dignity. He knows how to conduct himself. Image wise. Who else? Damian Lillard, it's Dwayne Wade from the Chicago, Chirac, not acting a fool, always acting classy. So I feel like the real dudes from the hood, from the projects, they understand poverty. They understand shootouts. They understand government cheese. They understand, anything can be taken from you in an instant. And when you come from nothing, you're not trying to go back to nothing. What the host say, they said it's hard to go from filet mignon back to hamburger beef. You feel, or hamburger helper. You feel what I'm saying? Once you taste that filet mignon, you ain't going back. So and a lot of people try and get at Ja Morant too, because I mentioned, about the two-parent households and the fathers in the life. People say, oh, well, Ja Morant has his dad, and it's like, you know what? I'm not gonna knock Ja Morant's dad, T Morant. T Morant and Trey Young's dad. Like these guys are my age, which is really scary. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, I'm really old enough to have an NBA All-Star in the league. And then I think, if my son was Ja Morant or Trey Young, I'd be the one that's acting crazy and dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it's emotional intelligence, if it's just a new generation. I don't know, man. But, I can't knock T Morant. Uh, John Morant has a shoe, the 12 a.m., that symbolizes what's done in the dark, is exposed in the light. And the work that T Morant has done with Ja, I'm talking about endless amounts of hours of training and so forth, it's exposed in the light. So you can't say he's not a hard worker. You can't say his son wasn't focused. It's just sometimes you get that new money. When you don't come from money, you taste that money, you're going to act a fool, man. But that's my time, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments section. You know what I'm saying? Do you agree with my comments on, Ja, Draymond Green, Dillon Brooks, Chris Rock? Holla at your boy. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to whatever is going on. Go to my website, DiceyWorld.com. You can catch latest pictures, exclusive pics that I don't have on my social media and everything like that. You feel what I'm saying? Just go to DiceyWorld.com. I'll go to my YouTube page, DiceyWorld Podcast. Or once again, just check me out right here, guys, on the Twitter, Instagram. But that's my time. I'm Master La Vista, Pasta and Pizza. Remember, boys and girls, anything can happen in Dicey World. Y'all be safe out here. In a minute. Peace.